I'm travelling my way across Europe through 5 different countries in the course of 18 days. We left Basel this morning and it feels like just moments ago since I finished the previous video. Now we're making our way through Germany and I'll be sketching along the way, trying to keep up with my journal. This is part 2 of the series. So if you haven't watched the previous video, you might want to go and do that first, and I'll link it in the description below. We're doing this journey entirely by train. We flew into Milan initially, but then we've been on the trains for the past 6 or 7 days. On the trains, I'm trying to get on with some of my sketching, working into the journal. So I'm doing one journal that's on the trains, and that one is mostly just going through the journey that we've taken so far. I've got one spread per day of the journey. And the other one, the smaller sketchbook here, this one is a lot more about quick sketches with marker pens outside, trying to capture as much as possible in very short amounts of time, usually about 10 to 20 minutes. The question for this part of the journey, am I going to be able to finish some of these journal spreads so I don't end up finishing the end of the journey way behind in the journal? So let's find out. Once again, I've ended up painting late in the hotel room. We do have some longer train journeys up ahead, but I find it quite hard to actually paint on the train. So I've been trying to get a paint layer on these pictures in the hotel room. This is from our Alps trip in Switzerland. So I'm several days behind at this point. It's the 7th day of our trip and we're in Heidelberg. Oh, and it's very loud all of a sudden for some reason. Just getting used to waking up in a city, a different city every single morning. And we've picked up a bit of a routine now where we find somewhere to stay near the station, and then we take our rucksacks and put them in the locker for the day, and then we actually explore that city. So every evening we travel to a new city, we stay near the station, and then we have the full next day at that city. The main thing has been really getting used to this idea of storing the luggage at every station. That's really useful for the day, and getting a bit of sketching in through the day, and then doing most of my journaling every evening. Seems to be working quite well so far. Once we've dropped the bags off, we go and explore the city. Yeah. It's been really interesting exploring Heidelberg. It's got a really, really long high street full of really interesting shops, including craft shops where I managed to get hold of some new ink markers. I'm quite interested in these ones. I haven't seen these stapler ones before, and they work really well for doing quick sketches outside and they don't bleed through, which I found really useful. So that's been really good. And now we're going to leave Heidelberg and head on to Cologne. Two things stick in my mind about our day in Cologne. We went to visit the cathedral and had the most amazing lunch at a local brewery. I didn't get much sketching done this day. We were just too busy exploring the city. We're just finishing off our day in Cologne. It's been interesting. I've been feeling a little bit too surrounded by cities over the last few days. Haven't really been able to get out into nature much, which as a nature journaler I've been finding quite difficult. It's also been kind of tiring, always waking up, going to a new city, doing lots of exploring. So we're going to go off to Hamburg now. We're at the station, we're going to get some trains, head directly to Hamburg and then have 2 days there. And I'm hoping to spend a bit of time in the garden, the botanical garden in Hamburg, and hopefully detox a little bit from all of this city life that we've been experiencing for the last few days. There was quite a long train journey to Hamburg, so I was really able to get back into the pages for Switzerland that I needed to catch up on. If you like the style that I'm taking in this main journal, I did actually make a class after getting back over at the Nature Journaling Circle. So if you'd like to learn more in a guided tutorial where you can practice this method right alongside me on screen, you can find that class at www.naturejournalingcircle.com. I'll link it in the description. You can either take it as a part of a membership or you can purchase the class separately. I really enjoyed working on this statue of the horse and the woman. This was my favourite thing in this part of Switzerland, and it was a really wonderful thing to draw. Notice that I spent most of my time building up the drawing in shapes. That's something I also regularly teach over in my Nature Journaling Circle. It was a long train journey into the evening, so I didn't record anything else this day. Let's pick up the next morning in Hamburg. Last night we had our first travel disaster, and I know that in every trip there's always going to be one, and we did pretty well to only have this one so far, to be honest. So we arrived in Hamburg and we had already booked a hotel that was kind of okay. Everything was really expensive here because it was just been the Ascension Day holiday, which is why a lot of the shops in Cologne were shut, and because we don't have Ascension Day in the UK, so I wasn't expecting there to be this holiday. So everything was kind of expensive for this weekend and also being in the city. So we booked this hotel and we were headed out the station really late. I think it was about maybe 10:30 at night, and it just looked really dodgy, like really dodgy. And then we looked at the reviews for the hotel. We were starting to feel as we went out into the city, oh, this is not really a good place. And then we looked at the reviews of the hotel, and there was one word that stood out to me, and it was bed bugs. And so we just ditched that entire plan. But it kind of meant that then we had to walk around the city trying to find somewhere else to stay. And thankfully, we have had great experiences with Premier Inns, and Premier Inns anyway, you kind of know what you're going to get, and they're pretty popular here in Germany. And the great thing about them is you always get a kettle in the room. So we were able to have some nice tea. So we found a couple of Premier Inns to stay in. Of course, it was more expensive, and of course we lost the money from the first hotel. But in order to kind of feel somewhere safe and okay about things, we kind of took the hit on that and ended up finding a really nice Premier Inn to stay in. So yeah, we've got a couple of days here in Hamburg. I was kind of freaked out initially. I didn't really like the city after that kind of first, but this morning everything felt better, and we were walking through the city centre, and it's actually beautiful here. And we found this park. And after kind of such a big travel disaster, I felt like I really needed to just recharge. So I spent pretty much the whole day here in this park. We've been lazing around and drawing. Davey's now gone off to explore because I think I was boring him with all my drawings. So now I'm kind of chilling out here in the park by the lake and really enjoying it here, actually. So yeah, how things are going, pretty well overall. It's been really nice to kind of just put my feet down on grass and sit somewhere green and listen to the birds and sketch for a while. So I think I'm recharged now. We've got another day here in Hamburg, one last day in Germany before we move on to Denmark, and that's also where I'll be ending this video. I've kind of been doing okay with the journaling. I spent a lot of time. We had a 4-hour train yesterday, so I really caught up quite well. And hopefully tonight we'll also be able to spend some time working on the journal and trying to catch up a bit more over the last few days. In this leg, I've experienced a few more challenges than the first one. Been working out how really to use my sketchbooks in a way that actually keeps me sketching throughout the holiday. It's been difficult because Davey isn't a sketcher, so I'm having to fit my sketching, especially the outdoor stuff, in around us going sightseeing and doing everything else that we want to do. So I've found that I haven't been using the outdoor sketchbook anywhere near as much as I perhaps would have liked to. because of that, I've decided to start sticking bits of that sketchbook into my other sketchbook, the main one, the main journal of this travels. I'm a little bit behind in there. There's quite a few blank pages, but I'm trying to kind of catch up a little bit through the pages of the most recent days. On this long train journey just now, I've been working on my journal pages for the last couple of days in Hamburg. I've ended up supplementing my art kit quite a bit, adding some materials from the different art shops that I've been to on my travels, and not using some of the other things like the Copic markers that I brought with me that ended up bleeding through the pages, so I haven't used those. So I've made a few changes to how I thought things would go with my art kit, added to it, supplemented it, and kind of improved it as we've gone along. And the main journal is starting to get a bit of a style now, with the journey parts in the yellow down in the bottom corners, putting the flags in. And it's really kind of building up to something now that I'm really starting to like this aesthetic. It's not something I've done before, using this kind of mixture of media, but it's working out really well and I'm very happy with the results. Sure, I'm a little bit behind, and sometimes I don't manage to get as much done as I'd like to because the train conditions aren't quite right, or I'm too tired at the end of the day. But it is working, and I am making progress through this journal. We've just crossed over into Denmark, and I think that's about perfect time now to leave this video. We're going on through Denmark. We're going to be going through Denmark quite quickly, going to Odense today and then to Copenhagen, and then crossing over into Sweden. So the final video of this series will be my journeys through Copenhagen, Denmark, and through into Sweden up to Stockholm. And we'll see how I get on with finishing the sketchbook over that final week. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Do leave a comment, let me know what you think of the places I've travelled and my sketchbook so far. And if you are someone who keeps a travel journal yourself, I'd love to hear your stories about that. Do just write something in the comments and tell me what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.